Welcome to The Classical Mind, a podcast about the great books in the Western canons. We're your hosts. I'm Father Wesley Walker.
And I'm Dr. Junius Johnson.
And Junius, I think that this time of year, March, early April, is the second best time of year for sports fans.
Hmm.
The best time of year is obviously early fall. Football starts, NFL, college football. I always go home after church on Sundays and turn on the Red Zone channel and just drift in and out of consciousness all afternoon. It's great. And pretty much from Thursday night till Monday night, you're just watching football. It's a great life. But this time of year is awesome too because we have March Madness starting here in just a couple weeks. We have the NFL or the NHL and the NBA playoffs starting in just a few weeks. We just finished the Winter Olympics, and this summer we of course have the World Cup. Opening day for baseball starts soon, so there's a lot happening in the sports world. Kind of one last gasp before the summer dog days of summer, where there's not a whole lot on for those of us degenerates who love sports.
That's right. That's right. So we decided that we wanted to honor that by putting on our jerseys for none of those sports, but for the football sports. So those of you who are seeing in the video here, Father Wesley's wearing his Cowboys shirt. He is in fact a Cowboys fan, and I am
Guilty as
wearing my
charged.
49ers shirt, San Francisco 49ers, America's team. And we have, I'm not going to get into it. I'll just let the recent record speak for itself. But we've done this because we're at the beginning of an incredible task here. I've just noticed we're both wearing number 21 as well.
That's true.
Is
Who is your
Is that Emmett
21?
Smith? This is Frank Gore.
This is Ezekiel Elliott.
Ezekiel Elliott. Oh yeah, yeah, nice. Okay. This is great. This is exactly what we need
Emmett
for this
Smith
head to
was
head.
Emmett Smith was 22 for the record.
Okay, I was close. Cowboys, whatever. Um, This is exciting time, guys. We are inviting you to the inaugural Battle of the Books. That's right, the Battle of the Books, where we take the last 12 books that we read and place them into mortal combat with one another. The mortal combat will be carried out by the weapon of your votes. So we'll make matchups and you will vote for each matchup to determine which book wins that one. It's a popularity contest. It's taking you right back to middle school, right back to high school. We all have such fond memories of those popularity contests. I say that jokingly. I do have very unfond memories of them. But Father
I
Wesley, you had
won
a
I won
yeah,
all of mine because I was
yeah, you had the great
homeschooled.
strategy. How'd you do it?
Homeschooled, baby.
See, that's the I think the answer pretty much is always don't be in public school and you'll have a happier childhood.
Something like
Anyway,
that. Class
yeah.
reunions are weird though because it's just me standing around to bowl a punch.
But you
I
can have
saw
them
a
anytime you
comedian
want
say
to.
that, not just that's not me.
You can have them anytime you want to, though. Um, Right. So the trick is, we'll be posting these matchups, and then you'll be able to vote on them. They'll be, it'll spread out. We'll give you a full schedule so you know exactly when to vote for your favorite or least favorite, vote against your least favorite book. But before we can get to that, we've got to have matchups. And to have matchups, we've got to have seating. And that's what we're here to do in this episode. Father Wesley and I are going to line up on opposite sides of the field, and we're going to argue out the seating for these books. Now, there's two criteria we're going to be using for seeding roughly. The first is quasi-objective, and that is the influence of the book. The second is quasi-subjective, and that is the quality of the book. And it's pretty subjective because quality is a hard thing. What do I even mean? Literary quality. Some of these books are works of literature, some of them works of philosophy or theology. So, you're doing some apples to oranges comparison here. But those are just going to be some considerations that are going to help guide us as we make what will ultimately be fairly arbitrary choices about who gets to be the seeds number 1 through 12. The way the tournament will work is there'll be 4 rounds. The first 4 seeds will get a bye in the first round. So the remaining 8 seeds, 5 through 12, will play each other in a variety of first round matchups. The winners of those matchups will then play the number 1 through 4 seeds in the second round, and that'll give us our final four, who will ultimately provide the two that will battle it out for the title of champion of the books.
Side question: when your team gets a bye, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel excited and happy, or does it make you more nervous?
It makes me excited and happy because I have the most injured team in football that I support, and so
Sure.
we always need that time to try to get some of the guys back out of the hospital. I also think that the seasons, NFL season is a long season, and it's a hard grind mentally, physically, emotionally. I do think that bye is a really substantive advantage for the team that comes out on top. So yeah, I always want to get that buy if I can, and I feel that way about these books. I want my favorite books to get the buy to give them their best chance of advancing here.
Interesting, interesting. I am perennially anxious about having buys. I feel like a team can lose their form during that week
They sure can.
of off time. Even in hockey, which I'm a big hockey fan too, like if we win a series too quickly,
Mm,
I'm nervous that if the other series with for the team we're going to play drags on too long, that we will lose a step. And that's
yeah.
happened as a Carolina Hurricanes fan. That happened one year. We swept a team and got swept the next round by a team that went 7 games in their
Mm,
previous series. So
yeah.
buys make me nervous generally, but I think in terms of books, we'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's right. I think that, the Aeneid, for example, should be pretty rested up for this competition.
Yes, yes, yes. So maybe what we could do is I'll share my screen and show the 12 books. We'll go through the 12 books and then we can start by with our seating project. So uh, our first book is Lilith by George MacDonald, then Billy Budd Sailor by Herman Melville, The Proslogeion by Anselm, Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, The Aeneid by Virgil, Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, The Federalist Papers, The Journey of the Mind to God by Bonaventure, Love in the Ruins by Walker Percy, The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole, and The Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. So, a pretty solid list of books, some very different books, but I think it'll be a pretty fun conversation to seed them, and then it'll be really fun to see how they do against each other.
It was nice as I was looking at this list of books that we were going to be seating. It was like walking down memory lane, and all those old conversations came up, and there's some good episodes in there. So, you listeners, if there's any of those episodes you missed, this would be a great time to go back and catch up on them. Or if you're finding yourself struggling to know who to vote for, maybe you should listen to the episodes, and maybe that might help to spark your your vote
I'm just really sad that Nietzsche's not on this list.
because you're really looking forward to him getting beat in the first round.
Something like that. With my luck,
You,
though, I'm sure he would win the whole thing. So,
right. You better be careful what you wish for. The will to power is pretty powerful in Nietzsche.
so Junius, why don't you start us? The way we decided we're going to do this is each of us will kind of make a proposal about what should go where, and we'll debate through it. So, Junius, what would be kind of your first selection here, first for a seed?
I'm gonna go. We talked about doing this starting from the bottom, starting from the top, starting wherever, and I'm just gonna go rogue. And I want to say I think it's pretty hard not to see the Aeneid number one.
I completely agree with that. You'll get absolutely no pushback from me on that.
All right, so there
So
we
we can
go.
go ahead and put the Aeneid at number one.
And part of the reason why, I mean, obviously, influence wise, it is the single most influential of all of these books.
Well, and like right now we're doing the Divine Comedy, and
Yeah,
you don't get the Divine Comedy without Virgil. So yeah,
that's exactly
no,
right. And also literary quality, you can't argue with that either. So it really maxes out both of the factors.
absolutely. Um, okay. I'm gonna propose that the two seed then go to Frankenstein by Mary
You're
Shelley.
you're also not going to get any pushback from me on that. Frankenstein was the dark horse of the season for me. I was expecting Frankenstein to come in pretty low, in my personal competition, I suppose. And it turns out that it was one of my favorite books that I've read in the last year. So I'm right there with you.
Excellent. Okay, I'll put that at number two then. So we've got the Aeneid by Virgil. We've got Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. What do you think goes number three?
Okay, now
Or
I
actually,
also
not three. Whatever you want. If you want to put
yeah,
something at
yeah.
the bottom, put something at the bottom. That's fine too.
Well, I mean, I think it would be a travesty if Shakespeare didn't come out in the top four. So I'm gonna
Mm.
pull Taming of the Shrew for number three. But I kind of want you to talk me out of it too.
Okay, I'm gonna make a counter offer to you, which is that we put Lilith at number three, and we put Taming the Shrew at number four. And the reason that I'm gonna argue for Lilith at number three is, I mean, I think quality wise it was pretty awesome, but in terms of its influence, I mean, the way MacDonald exercises influence, especially over C.S. Lewis, who becomes such a huge figure. I mean, it was kind of cool as we were reading it. Like you could clearly see where Narnia comes from,
Hmm.
and uh, for that reason, I think Lilith needs to be pretty high up there.
Ooh. That's tough, right? I mean, Shakespeare, Taming of the Shrew, not just Shakespeare, I got to be specific. Taming of the Shrew is not one of the most influential of the Shakespeare plays.
Right.
It has been seen as problematic in more recent decades because of what is often taken as a negative portrayal of women. And if you want to hear our take on that, feel free to queue up that episode. So it's not as if it were Hamlet, where it would be no contest. Hamlet's going to beat Lilith. At the same time, for me, Lilith was not as good a novel as Fantastes, or some of the other. I don't feel like it wasn't as well written as I wanted it to be. And so if it were
Okay.
Fantasties, I think it'd be no contest that it would go over Taming of the Shrew. It's a tight one for me. It really is. But you know what? I think that the argument you made about C.S. Lewis is the tiebreaker for me. The fact that Lewis is so influential on my life personally and on so many other writers and so many other people, that's a really powerful funnel. And you're right. I mean, the Lilith is the inspiration for Jadis. There's no doubting it. So I'll go for that. So we've just done three and four then. So that's going to be Lilith at three, Taming of the Shrew at four.
All right, let's update the board here. Lilith at 3, she was already there anyways, and then Taming of the Shrew goes to 4. Okay, so our first round. Oh wait, hold on. There we go. Our first round buys then the Aeneid, Frankenstein, Lilith, and Taming of the Shrew, which then leaves us the rest of the slate to pick for the first round. Um, okay, for number 5, I'm going to make a proposal more based on influence than on quality. Um, Not because I thought the quality was terrible, but because I don't know that it was what we would think of as imaginative or a particularly fun read. And
Mm,
so for 5, I'm going to say the Communist Manifesto should probably go here.
that's right. The influence is massive. Over 1 billion people around the world are living under governments that are patterned after the critiques and the arguments of this book. So, um,
And even
I,
governments that aren't directly influenced by it have been influenced by it in some way. I mean,
yeah,
it may be that, like for example, in America, I mean, we aren't communists, but we do have things like Labor Day
yeah.
and OSHA and those kind of government agencies that certainly answer some of the concerns raised by Marx. Not completely, of course,
Hmm.
but still, yeah,
That is true, and there's also the other sense. I thought you were going to go here that there's a negative influence where a lot of times America and other democratic countries, capitalist countries, I should say, are shaped precisely by trying not to go in a communist direction, right? I think one of the reasons we don't have socialized medicine in the United States, whether you think that would be good or bad, is because it was seen to be a communizing move, and during the McCarthy era in the 50s, that was a non-starter.
that's true. All right, so
Okay, so then
Communist
I'm gonna
Manifesto
vote
is
for my heart then. Can I? I'm gonna vote for my heart, and I'm gonna put Itinerarium at number six.
no pushback for me. That's exactly where I had it. At number 6. Great minds think alike, or something like that, anyways.
Classical minds think alike.
Classical minds think alike. Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's exactly where that should go. Where is it? Here it is. Number 10 moves up to number 6. Okay.
Now it gets interesting.
Now it gets interesting. Okay. I'm torn. For 7, I could certainly see the Proslogeion going here because I think the ontological argument is a pretty important one. However,
Hmm.
a lot of people, especially modern philosophy, I think the ontological argument is strange and almost absurd to many people.
Hmm.
Um, I don't find it absurd or strange, but I think a lot of people would think that way. The Castle of Otranto, I think, is another one where, like Lilith, you can see C.S. Lewis. As you read The Castle of Otranto, you can see so many works of Gothic literature. It really is a genre setting book. It's not a book that's popular. I don't think many people have read it, but I think
Hmm.
even a more modern reader could read The Castle of Otranto and be like, "Oh,
Hmm.
I recognize this." So
Yeah.
I would say that should go number 7.
I wish I could argue with you, but I can't. That was my thinking as well. And part of it, I think, I've been recommending this book to people through the years, ever since I read it in college. And of course, I put it on our season for just this reason also. It's a book that I can tell people you should go read The Castle of Otranto, and they read it and they enjoy it, and they don't necessarily feel like they've ticked off a book that's like a duty. It's an important book to read. It was just a fun read. And it was very popular in its own day. I think you're right. It has influenced a lot of multiple genres coming down the line. And I think it's just a delightful romp. So I agree with that. That
Excellent.
being the case, then I think we do have to put Praslagi in right after it, right behind it. I don't see can't see Ansem going any lower on this list than that.
Yes, and it kind of hurts me to put him at 8,
It
honestly. I mean,
does.
I love him so much and have been profoundly impacted by so much of his writing.
Hmm.
So, you know, listeners, if you want to make him a sort of dark horse in this tournament, I'm okay with that. It's always exciting when an 8
Yeah.
makes a deep run. So,
Yeah, that's actually a great point, Wesley, that if you disagree with any of our seedings, the best way to deal with that is to vote them
vote.
through, right?
That's right. And you can
'Cause-
do what college football fans do when the rankings come out every week and you can take to social media and complain. Just make sure you share
Yes.
this video first.
So people know what you're talking about.
That's right.
That's right. Uh,
I think
all
so.
right.
That makes it my turn, right?
Yep.
So we've got Billy Budd, Love in the Ruins, The Federalist Papers, and Peter Pan
Yeah.
left.
Yep.
That's really tough. Very, all four incredibly different books.
Yeah.
I think I like this book more than you did. In fact,
I
I
think
know
you
I
did too.
did.
I think you did too.
I think I think I'm going to propose Love in the Ruins should go next. I'm not sure it's influential in the sense that many people have read it or that it has inspired whole genres of writing, but I do think in terms of its quality, A, it was laugh out loud funny at
Mm,
times.
mm,
B, it was incredibly prophetic in its cultural diagnoses of
hmm.
American culture, politics, religion. Um, and C, while it is more modernist literature, which I know is sort of one of our big conversations about the book, I think it does so in a really engaging way and in a grounded
Hmm.
way that's
Hmm.
clearly a sort of Catholic imagination.
Hmm.
And so for all those reasons, I would say Love in the Ruins should go
Mm.
number 9. Um,
That is a
I
great defense
I
of your
could be
seating.
persuaded that the Federalist Papers could go here just because obviously in terms of influence they
Yeah.
have a lot of impact, but in terms of quality, I don't know. I would rather read Love in the Ruins than the Federalist Papers.
Yeah, no, that's a great defense that you offer there of that seating, and that's exactly the kind of argumentation I would expect from a Cowboys fan. However, if you'd allow me to push back from the standpoint of America's
Please.
team, it is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And this is America is the greatest country on earth, apparently, some people would say. Um,
And you're starting to sound exactly like one of the characters that Walker Percy would be making fun of
that's right.
in Love in the Ruins.
That's exactly right. But since I'm a true American, I think the Federalist Papers got to go here, man. I want Federalist Papers above Percy. There's no Walker Percy without America.
That's true. Yeah, I guess in terms of influence, I
It's got a
can.
massive influence advantage.
Yeah, I mean that's true. That is true. The
But I'll
Federalist
let you
Papers.
have Walker Percy at what's that? What does it put us at 10 now?
Walker Percy would be 9, if I got my way. Um,
No, 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 no. I'm saying you're not gonna get your way. So then once we put Federalist
yeah,
Papers at 9, that knocks you down to 10, right?
right, right. I could, yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense. If we're
It
trying to
hurts.
balance influence and quality,
It
because I do
hurts.
think there's a genius to the Federalist Papers. I mean, they are very good,
Yeah,
just in terms
yeah.
of what they're arguing for.
No, and that's right. I mean, I want to affirm, my personal the fact that I didn't vibe with Love in the Ruins is not a comment on its quality. It is obviously very high quality from a literary standpoint. I admire the artistry of how it's put together. My difference with it is really a difference of aesthetic and not a difference of quality, and that's not something that it should be penalized for. So I think accede to all of your arguments about it. I think the argument that it should be in the ninth place is a really good argument, and even you could theoretically argue it could be even higher. I just think because it's wound up going against the Federalist Papers, I can't see it dethroning it.
Yeah, we just took Jude for his 8th birthday down to DC, and
Mm.
he wanted to go to the Air and Space Museum and the American History Museum, and it's like all of this wouldn't be possible without the Federalist Papers. Whereas I don't know what Love in the Ruins has actually inspired, other than one really good episode of a podcast. So,
All right, I think that's settled then. So
all right, we'll put
Federalists at
Federalist
9.
Papers at 9, and then Love in the Ruins at 10. So that leaves Billy Budd and Peter Pan. I think this may be another place where we might have a potential disagreement, but what are you thinking, Junius?
I have Billy Budd at 11.
I do too. Okay. I'm
And here's the
surprised.
reason why. Here's the reason why. So first of all, I enjoyed Billy Budd. I really did. It's not half as good as Moby Dick, but I mean, what is? But it was quite a nice little read. I don't think it's even as I didn't like it even as much as Bartleby the Scrivener, which
Mm.
is the other Melville I've read, but aside from Moby Dick. But man, that guy can tell a tale. I mean, I think he's one of the best tale tellers that we have in the literary tradition, not to say the written tradition. I'm sure his butt was kicked by a bunch of pre-written tale tellers, but I don't know how good they were because we don't have their stuff. I think it stands well on its own right. It makes a good claim on its own right to 11. But for me, the story of the 11 and 12 seeds is really a story of the failure of Peter Pan.
Mm.
Peter Pan, J.M. Barrie has such a wonderful literary genius, and I don't think that Peter Pan shows it off in the slightest. And when I read the Barrie that I would recommend people read, and I think this was my end note when we did Peter Pan, was Dear Brutus, which is simply stunning. It's one of those books that I hadn't heard of, and when I read it in the last few years, it just reorganized my sense of where Barry fit in the constellation of great writers. And so I had high hopes for Peter Pan coming out of that, and I couldn't understand why Barry didn't get more attention given his incredible talents and what he achieved in that play. Reading Peter Pan, which is the thing that most people read, I understand why he doesn't get more attention. It doesn't, nothing about that play, that novel would make you think that this was one of the great literary minds of his century and that we should be reading his other stuff. And so I think that Peter Pan, it's a fun story. It's a wonderful world that is created, but I think it was a bit disappointing as a novel for me. And so for me, when I started thinking through seedings, my first thought was, well, Peter Pan's going all the way to the bottom.
Yes. No, I think that's exactly right. It was all about Peter Pan not meeting kind of basic expectations that I had for it, just given how many works it has inspired.
Yeah, and that's the other trick, right? I mean, Peter Pan definitely has the influence edge over Billy Budd in spades. It's been massively influential, but I don't care.
Yes. Yes. Sorry, I have to reconstruct our list here because I forgot to press save on it. Just a classic problem. Our day has been plagued by technology issues. Um, let's see. We had Peter Pan at the bottom, Billy Budd, Love in the Ruins was right above Billy Budd, right?
Hmm.
Federalist Papers was over Love in the Ruins.
Yep.
Was it Proslagion over Federalist Papers?
Yep.
Castle of Otranto, Journey of the Mind to God, Communist Manifesto, Taming of the Shrew, Lilith, Frankenstein, and Aeneid.
Yeah.
Great. Let me press save this time.
And then we're ready for the big reveal of the first round matchups.
That's right. That's right.
This is really fun because I actually don't remember how the bracket's set up well enough to be able to anticipate in my mind what that
Well, what we
means.
can do is we can look at some of the matchups here.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
So, okay, I think we're good here. Let me just Okay, I'm going to share my screen and reveal the bracket. So, the first matchup of the first round will be Preslagion versus the Federalist Papers. Should be
Wow.
interesting.
That is really interesting because you actually have two non-literary texts going head to
Right.
head, two intellectual powerhouses battling it out for the right to go and fight Virgil, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to have Virgil in the second round.
No, that's a pretty tough call there.
Yeah, that's a tough
Um
draw.
the second could we call these playing games?
Sure.
I guess well, not really because it's
No, I
the
guess you
higher
can't though.
seeds.
No.
Playing game
Yeah.
is sort of a 16-15 situation. But anyways,
Yeah.
Communist Manifesto versus Peter Pan
Now
should be
that'll be
interesting.
interesting. That will be interesting, especially because, listeners, you don't have to follow our take on things, obviously. You can vote however
That's
you
right.
want to, and for any reasons, right? And so we're going to be coming up against, on the one hand, potentially a lot of positive feeling and childhood nostalgia for Peter Pan, and on the other hand, potentially quite a bit of animus against the Communist Manifesto. And
That's
so
true. I don't
this
know
could be a very
anybody who
interesting
has
matchup.
childish nostalgia for Communist Manifesto.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. I mean, maybe Stalin. But at the same time, I mean, man, the Communist Manifesto, it wasn't just that it was so influential, it was much better than I thought it would be also.
Right.
So I'm very curious to see what folks do with that matchup.
Me too. Me too. Then we'll have the Castle of Otranto by against Love in the Ruins. That'll
Mm.
be an interesting matchup. Two novels. Um,
That yeah, two novels with a view of a society where there's something wrong at the core of it,
yeah,
right? And then the winner of that goes on to Frankenstein.
that's a
Potential
fascinating part of the bracket to look at.
right, potential gothic novel showdown in the second round, or a real gothic versus modern, potentially followed by horror versus modern. I mean, there's a lot happening there.
And what's super interesting is that whichever one of these three succeeds, it could be against Lilith, um, which would be a fascinating matchup. Any of those three versus Lilith would be awesome. So
That's a really theological part of the bracket down there.
it is. It is. It gets more theological because we got Journey of the Mind of God to the mind of the mind to God, but against Billy Budd Sailor.
Wow.
That will be interesting.
I have no idea what
That
people will
will
make
be
of that one.
interesting because I'm not sure that many people have read either of them.
Yeah.
So
Well, and they're so different, right? I mean,
very
they're not the
different.
same genre at all. It's just our first real, well, no, Peter Pan and Communist Manifesto, but yeah, different genres, very different time periods, different goals and aims, and yeah, all kinds of fascinating things there.
It'll be an interesting mirror to our listenership. Do we have more sort of theologically inclined listeners or more literary inclined listeners? That might be one where we get a good sense for kind of who is voting in this.
Yeah, yeah. These are all very cool matchups. I'm very excited to see how these go. Man, I can't wait.
Very cool. Very cool. So how we'll move forward is in the post that has this video, we'll have the schedule underneath and we'll link each of the titles to the episodes that we've done on those titles. And then on the days that are specified in the post, we will release a post without any video or audio, but just a poll. Which of these two do you vote for? And so you'll get an opportunity to vote each day. If you subscribe to the podcast on Substack, it will email you automatically as we release each of those posts with the polls in them. So then you don't even have to come looking for it. You can just find it on your email.
That's right. And I think also maybe we'll try to get we can get some conversation going over in the chat for subscribers if you want to not just vote, but also kind of weigh in about the matchup. We'll make some space for you to do that as well.
That's right. We'll make a dedicated sort of Battle of the Books mega thread, and so
Nice.
people can participate in that there. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. I'm very excited about this. And listeners, if you submit enough emails to something like Kalshi or Polymarket, we can get a betting aspect to this too.
Please bet responsibly.
That's right. That's right. Very good. Very good. Well, I'm excited about this. This should be fun.
Yeah, so all that remains is to turn it over to you, the listeners, to decide the fates of these books and choose the champion of the books.
Absolutely. Well, great. And also keep reading because our next episode about Purgatorio by Dante should be coming out soon as well. So we look forward to continuing our journey through the Divine Comedy.